welcome back to another episode of Dad Advice. I'm Bob.
I'm John.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for subscribing to our YouTube channel. Again, today we're kind of in a three-part series that isn't dealing a lot with home improvement, how to use your hands differently, but these are really important things that as dads that we think are important to teach our kids and our sons. And today, particularly, we're going to talk about what are those things that men need to teach their sons. And again, if we're not going to cover everything, but if you have some ideas that we didn't cover, put them in the comments below and share, because we love to hear your advice as well.
That's right.
So let's get right started with John. You start her off.
So we kind of, as Bob said, we kind of thought of some things that we wanted to pinpoint, and then again, there's a lot of other things, but I think the first one that comes to mind to me is treat the opposite sex with respect.
Yeah.
Treat a woman with respect. And
Absolutely.
that might mean, that's by what you say. And sometimes, even at like a get together or a party, you might overhear something and maybe so much the guys talking, but I think even in those situations, you need to maybe step up a little bit and maybe not say certain things.
Absolutely.
That's by example, by word. I mean,
Right.
again, just treating a woman the way they should be treated is, I think, a first
That's
one on the
a
list.
great one. Another one that's been really hard for me, and I've probably failed at this as a dad, and I'm trying to teach my son this, is live in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
We get busy with work, with our activities, fishing, hunting, golf, whatever that may be, and sometimes we don't stay in the moment. And especially in today's world with technology, we come home, we're having dinner, and everybody's on their phones instead of talking back and forth to each other. Mm-hmm. So just teach your son to live and enjoy the moment. And that may be just something simple as stepping back and observing what's going on and being appreciative for that. Appreciating your family or your friends that you're with. Or, hey, I'm out to dinner and I'm really enjoying this food. It's great food. Appreciate what you have. Live in the moment. Do more and more of that. Teach your son to live in the moment, because we're also goal-oriented, that sometimes we forget to stop and smell the roses.
And I think along with that too, when you're with someone, you're at a get-together, maybe neighbors, family, just asking questions and listening to what they're saying, and maybe it's not always about you.
Right.
So I think that'll help along the way, and that'll take you a long way, whether it's just friends or even at a job.
I think that's a kind of on a side note too. You want to impress a girl, stop talking about yourself and ask her questions.
That's right.
And listen and remember, and then bring up that conversation the next week. Don't be so egocentric that we got to talk about how great we are to our friends or whoever. So.
Yeah. I want to get a little deeper on this one too, and I'll ask you about it, but find your passion. I think this was a big thing for me because it took a while for me to really figure those things out. But I think that finding your passion, it can mean a lot of things, and I want to hear kind of what because I think you were the one that brought this up, but it really kind of hit me hard.
What that really involves is kind of a number of things. I think we all have different levels: spiritual, emotional, physical, mental levels of our being. And we have to find out what are those skills that we were created with by our Creator. And we need to find what those may be. And maybe it's through asking friends or asking a parent. Mm-hmm. But dads, that's kind of our responsibility, is to help your son find what they're passionate about. That's going to mean maybe trying things and having them fail. That's okay. When they're 7 or 8, they can fail 100 times. As opposed to when they're 35, if they've had 20 jobs in 5 years, that's another issue. But helping them find what their skill set is. There are many personality tests you can take online that help you understand what drives you, what makes you happy. It's much easier, and a job doesn't seem like a job if you love doing it.
That's right.
And if you get up in the morning and you hate your job, it's going to seem like a job. But so find that passion and read books on it. There's all kinds of authors out there on this subject, but it's just so important for young men to have a passion, to find out what they're good at, and then pursue that passion.
And you touched on it. I think sometimes you can ask others, and they'll kind of tell you what you're good at. You may not even know that. Another thing too is get your kids involved in some different things.
Right on.
As a dad, allow your son to experience sports.
Right.
It might be a lot of, there's all kind of different sports.
Yeah.
It may be plays. It may be, you know, gosh, you know, giving speeches. There's all sorts of different things.
Music lessons.
That's
you
right.
know, whatever it may be.
Get them involved in a few things, and then that will help them along the way.
Right. That's really important. This is one that is really, really a kind of a pet peeve with me. In this society, it's not that big of a deal. I think the whole idea of dressing for success, that's a huge category, I know, but you've got to teach your son to dress appropriately for the occasion. Flip-flops and a tank top are not appropriate for a wedding, unless the wedding is on the island of Maui on the beach. But understand that a navy blue suit can go a long way for a young man. You got a blazer, you got blue slacks. You can mix them and match them with sweaters, but dressing right for a job interview, dressing right for a funeral, for a wedding, for other family events is really, really important to understand.
As your son gets older, this is a good one. As your son gets older, they'll be dating and they may marry. And so just let him know that when you marry the girl, you're marrying her family,
right on.
and you will probably be spending a lot of time with that family, her mom and dad, you know, or her grandparents.
When I started dating John's sister, we dated in high school. Inez Jackson, God bless her, a lovely woman. She was a fantastic cook, and I would come over to her house on Sunday after church, and we'd have Sunday dinner, and I couldn't believe it. She would ask, my plate would be heaping with food. Now, my mom, I love my mom. She's a great woman. God rest her soul. But she wasn't a cook like Inez, and Inez loved to cook, and so it was kind of easy for me. I'm going, hey, I kind of like this kid here. He was a scrawny little runt at the time, and I like the mom and I like the dad. This is easy. But sometimes it may not be that easy. Sometimes there's going to be dysfunction in that family. And so as John said, just remember, when you marry the girl, you marry the family.
Yep, that's right. Another thing that I think is good for us dads to teach our son is being able to work with your hands.
Oh, right on. Right on.
And you know, it could be just changing oil, waxing a car, doing things around the house, being able to, and we've touched on this in some of our tool episodes, but being able to use some of the tools and a little bit of knowledge.
Exactly.
Like maybe it's working in the garden.
Yeah.
Even
having an understanding of how to measure, how to cut, how to build things, that can go a long way just building confidence with your son and helping them in the future. So, and we're going to get into a lot of those types of things in future episodes. One thing that, again, is really a kind of a pet peeve of mine that I've really tried to teach all my kids, but my son in particular, and that is if you borrow a car from a friend, you return the car with a full tank of gas and clean. I don't care if the car was dirty when you got it. You clean it out and make it right. You give the car back better than it was when you borrowed it.
And that goes along with anything you borrow.
Anything, right?
You know, make sure you get it back. Make sure the tools are clean, or whatever.
Right.
I don't think most of us don't mind letting someone borrow it, but you just don't be the guy that doesn't give it back or that brings it back.
Or brings it back dirty, or you borrow a car, you let your friend use a car, and it comes back on empty. Then you got to go down to the gas station. That's just not good form.
Yeah. So one of the last things that we wanted to talk about, and I think we've hit on a little bit, just being a gentleman.
Yeah.
A couple of the things that we jotted down. This is a good one. When you're at a get together, and maybe it's a party, wherever, and someone comes up and talks to you, you go to talk to someone, and your wife or your girlfriend, a significant other, could be anyone, is with you. Make sure you introduce them as well.
Right.
Otherwise, that's the proper thing to do.
Yeah, it's and I'm guilty of not doing that, and it's really awkward when my wife turns and says, "Hi, I'm Jackie. I'm Bob's wife," and I go, "Oh my gosh, we've talked for 45 seconds." So do that the first thing. Along the same lines, John, and you've taught your son this. Guys, teach your sons to when they shake hands, to stand up, look the person in the eye, and say, "Nice to meet you, John," or "Nice to meet you, Bob," and shake hands firmly. Don't ever shake hands sitting down. Stand up, show that person some respect, and shake their hand.
Yeah, and you know the whole fish handshake.
right.
Just reach out and give a good handshake. You don't need
Right.
to crush their hand, but
Right.
give them a firm handshake.
Right.
I think it's something our dads taught us.
Absolutely.
And I think you made a good point too. Is when you say, oh Bob, nice to meet you. You repeat their name.
Yeah.
That helps you remember. It's another
Absolutely.
little trick.
Absolutely.
You know, because I'm horrible at trying to remember
Me
names,
too.
but
I'm horrible,
it's just
yeah.
another little thing that I think being a gentleman you do.
Yeah. Okay. Our dad advice is over. Now we're going to give you some dad wisdom. And we hope you enjoy this. Again, I keep repeating myself, but subscribe to our page, pass it along if you like this information. And look, as we've said along, we're two guys that are human. If we miss something, I know we missed something. Share it in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you've learned from, what's been successful for you, so all of our viewers can take advantage of that. I think our dad advice for today has to do with just effort. And that is, when you fail, get back up. Don't be afraid to do it over again. And you're going to fail again. Get back up. You know, there's two examples I'll give you. One is a guy named Reggie Jackson, our age ball player, probably the greatest home run hitter in the World Series ever. Mm-hmm. I think he holds the postseason records for most home runs. He also holds the records for most strikeouts. So, hey, he struck out a lot, but he's not remembered for that. The other one I'm going to give you has to do with Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. Colonel Sanders, when he started trying to figure out if he was going to run a restaurant or not, he went to over 100 banks to get money, to borrow money from, and they all said, nobody's going to go to your place to buy chicken. People can cook chicken at home. On the 101st one, he found somebody, and at one time in this country, KFC was the #1 franchise fast food chain. So just remember, if you get knocked down, get back up. Never stop trying. We hope you had a great time watching today. Thanks again. Take care till next time.
See ya.